Hi Cancer, welcome to Yellow Cardinal Tarot with me. My name is Carole and this is going to be a general reading for you for February 2026. And if you are coming back to my channel, and I want to thank you for supporting me. And if you are new to my channel, I encourage you to subscribe. And it's a fairly young channel. This is now 2 years old. So quite excited when I get new people, and let me know, comment below if you're new to my channel and you've just found me. So today's reading is a really cool reading, and I'm saying cool because I've selected 2 oracle cards at the beginning, and I've already pulled them out for you. And I can't believe how these 2 oracle decks just somehow talk to each other. So I'm going to tell you first of all about the reading itself, and then we'll get into your oracle cards, and then we'll get into the tarot. So the reading is called Coming Back to Your Truth. The title of it came after I was meditating a bit on what did I want to do for February, and the word authenticity came up. You know, getting back to your truth, to your true self, who you really are. And, you know, I think oftentimes we realize if we look back and we can say to ourselves, you know, why didn't I know that back then? Or, you know, I wish I had known or done something differently back then. But so this is a time, this reading is, I'm really going to try to help you see a little more about, have some clarity on, you know, who you really are and where you're heading, and have some clarity about exactly where you are, and not so much where you wish you were, right? And so oftentimes we can get really deluded and confused about things because we wish we were, this was our life, when it's not really our life, or it's not really what we find out it was. So we're going to get, you're going to get really honest with yourself in this reading, and it's going to require you to maybe get a bit uncomfortable as you get into your truth, because there are usually emotions that are around it that need to be expressed that have been, for some reason, sort of pushed down in your system. And then, so authenticity is going to be something where I'm going to be asking you, the tarot is going to be asking you to start living and speaking from a place of who you really are, and not what you've been taught to be, or maybe believed to be. A lot of that's coming out as well. And so the 2 decks that I've chosen to help you out today for the oracle reading is the Shaman's Dream, and also the Return of Spirit. So you're going to see that in my readings. I'll often talk about shamanism a little bit. I'll pull that into it. And I love these particular cards because I'm a shamanic healer. And so it is, you know, how I live. And so I'll bring it in my readings. I also do offer distance shamanic healing. And so if you're interested in a 15-minute consultation that's absolutely free, there's a link below. And so you can talk about, you know, shamanism. You can talk about maybe healing that you want. And it'll take you to my website. And there's just a quick little form you fill out for a Zoom call with me. And you're under no obligation whatsoever to continue the healing. And it's not something where I'm going to be hounding you actually afterwards. And that'll be on it'll take you to my website actually. And on that website, I also have personal tarot readings that I do, that you can have a look at those as well. So let's get into your reading, because this is about you. And so the first, I was just kind of giggling when these 2, especially when I get to the second one. I'm going to talk about the first one, and then I'll get to the second one, and it's funny how they just come together. So the first one's, and this is the first time I've seen this one. This one's called Moon Maiden, New Beginnings. And this is the shamanic card. And so this card talks about it's coming to you because there are new beginnings for you. And she's coming out for you because she's offering you a new beginning. So this Moon Maiden wants you to encounter a new facet of who you are, a new beginning to see yourself in a new way. And she's asking you to show that to the world, because there's a side of you that's aching, to come out into the world, that wants you to show yourself who you really are, that's been hiding, maybe from you as well. And so she's here to set yourself free. And you're being asked maybe to start maybe announcing it to yourself first. And this is what this reading is about. And then once you get to that stage where you've worked through the emotions and worked through what you need to work through, when you've done the healing, that's when you'll be able to bring it out into the world. So she's really asking you to be true now to your soul's calling. And so that was the first card. Now, that was a beautiful card for you, especially when we're talking about authenticity, right? And I forgot to talk about the Ace of Swords, and I'll get to that in a minute. So Take Flight was your next card here. And so I looked up Take Flight and exactly what what does it mean? And the first line was like, it's time to come out of seclusion. And so here she is offering you this opportunity. And this is like, it's time to take flight now. And there's no need. It doesn't want you to protect yourself anymore. It doesn't want you to, stay in that cocoon. It wants you to come out. When you think of take flight, it's like that butterfly, coming out of its cocoon right here. And so maybe you've been cocooning for a while. Maybe it wants you to meet new friends, new social connections, interact with people. Your soul is ready to shine. And I ended this with saying, be true to your soul's calling. And this is like your soul's ready now. And but your mind, I think, is still saying, I'm not really sure about this, and this is where you're kind of stuck right now. And so let's talk about the Ace of Swords, because I've forgotten that. If there was one card in the deck that would represent for me your authentic self, who you are, is that sword, that single sword that the court cards will hold. And this is the one that comes out for a new beginning for you. And it's the one that's going to cut through that bullshit. But look at that growth on the end of it, right? It's going to cut through the bullshit. It's going to cut through the illusions. It's going to cut through the false beliefs about yourself. And you're going to end up getting some clarity. And you're going to start to really begin living from who you really are. And so we're going to have the Ace of Swords as sort of the theme card for us, and these two other oracle cards. And so there's so much support around you. I'm going to be using the Ehrenberg Tarot, and then I'm going to use the E.B. White to clarify. So let's start off with the reading, which is coming back to your truth. And I'm going to ask for one card for what illusion or false belief are you holding on to right now about yourself that needs to be released, right? We're working towards your true self. You have the Five of Pentacles. That tells me a lot already in that opening card. And then we're going to look at what needs healing in order to let this go. Like, where did this come from? Because this is what we're going to heal. We got to heal this right here before we can take flight, before you can take flight. And so what needs healing? What's sitting in your shadow? And that's what's from childhood, from adolescence. Whoa, you had two cards here that come out. So you have the Ten of Cups and then the Three of Cups right beside each other. So a lot of emotions that are sitting here in your shadow from childhood that need to be expressed. And, you're the adult now. You're the one that has to express this for your inner children that couldn't do it when they were younger. And then you have the Nine of Swords. Got the swords energy here holding on to your head. So, yeah. Nine of Swords is coming up for you. That's an interesting card too. That explains a lot. Okay, so I'm going to pull up the clarifiers for this. So the Five of Pentacles here. A couple cards for the Five of Pentacles. And 1 and 2. That one was sideways. So you have the Knight of Pentacles and the Hermit card. Here's a major arcana card for you. The first one on the table. Ten of Cups. Three of Cups. Tell me some more about these. I think we're going to go with one card for now, which is the Temperance card sideways. There's your other major arcana card again. Big universal forces for you, which is nice. Nine of Swords. Couple cards for you. Wow. They were pushing to come through. Okay, the Tower card and the Ace of Pentacles. I will say these two cards were kind of sideways, each of them. And you know, I'd like to put the Tower card sideways for you rather than have it in an upright position, because it just kind of tells me it's a tipping point for you. So it was sideways. I'm not just doing that just because. Let's start off with what illusion or false belief that you're holding on to that needs to be released. And so the Five of Pentacles is this individual. I mean, if you take a look at his feet and the clothing that he's wearing, he obviously doesn't have a lot of self-worth. He doesn't feel like he's important at all, actually. And he knows he needs some help, and yet he's walked right past that place of worship. I could say she as well. They need some help. But he doesn't feel worthy enough. Just don't feel worthy enough to ask for help. And this is where you're sitting right now, where you don't feel worthy enough. You don't feel like you matter, you know? And that's huge. That's big when we're sitting in that place. And, you know, to be honest with you, there's a lot of us that are sitting in that spot. And so that's what needs to be released, is that unworthiness. Don't feel like you matter. Nobody cares. Maybe you feel like you've been forgotten. Life's unfair. Any of those things can come up with the unworthiness. Underneath you have the Knight of Pentacles and the Hermit card. And so the Knight of Pentacles, my knights in my deck, are called what I call my freedom fighters. And there's a real part of you. It's usually like an adolescent part. We all have this part that they want the freedom. And so I think when you were an adolescent, when you were younger, your body, you know, our body holds a lot of our truth, a lot of our emotions, but the most critical aspect of anything you can do for yourself, of self-love, is grounding. So in order to have love for self, we have to embody self. And this is what this is. This is the card that's going to bring you the freedom. And it's saying there's a big part of you that says, well, in order for you to have that freedom from the unworthiness that you've been feeling, he carries this pentacle. And it's a real sign here that says, you know, you need to get into your body, because that is the biggest form of self-love. And so you're not in your body, and, you know, you're up in your head. And I'm sure you spin things in your head about how unworthy you are and how much you hate yourself when you look in that mirror and you just go, oh, I can't stand the look of you. And that's where that's where the unworthiness comes from. And it's not something that we're born with. And around unworthiness is there's a lot of shame. And so I think you've been given this shame. It's been handed down to you, because we're not born with shame. Shame is something that's given to us from other people. You have the Hermit card that comes sideways right after that Knight of Pentacles, right, of self-love and being in your body. I mean, there's a real need for you. This is what this big energy is coming in for you, the Hermit card. Hermit card is, you know, shining a light, going inwards and shining a light on those things we need to shine a light on. And I think I did mention the emotion of shame, because big emotions are coming out in these readings. And so this is the Hermit card that's here and says, you know what, it's time for you to look at that shame. And it's sideways here because I think there's a big part of you that doesn't want to. And I'm glad to see that it's sideways and it's not like totally upside down, but I think there's a part of you that knows that, as it's almost like you have this glimmer of light in you, that as unworthy as you feel about yourself, there's this glimmer of hope in you that says, that's still there, that says, I know, I want to look at this. I know this can't be me. these people told me all my life, this is what I've been carrying around all my life, these illusions, these belief systems about myself, that I'm completely unworthy, and it has to be untrue. And so I think that's where you're sitting right now. It's like, yeah, I think I'm ready to look at this, right? And that's why you have these two cards, this new maiden, there's a new beginning here for you. And it's like you need to see the butterfly that you really are. You know, that cocoon that you've been sitting in, that protective cocoon, and of unworthiness, where you've wrapped yourself around that and almost protected yourself with this feeling of unworthiness. Well, it's cracking, right? It's like it's that light's coming through right now. And so, what is it when you were younger? Where did this come from? This feeling of shame, this feeling of unworthiness. What needs to heal here? Well, the first thing is this Ten of Cups, and I love this portrayal of this Ten of Cups. Look at this little, so first of all, the Ten of Cups is that beautiful full range of emotions that we're allowed to feel. And we will feel our emotions when we're younger, when we feel that we are safe to feel them. But you've put that away in your shadow, which means you weren't allowed to feel your emotions. You didn't feel it was safe. Or maybe you tried. Obviously, when we don't feel like it's a safe place, it's because we've tried and they were shut down completely. And I think that you learned that at a very young age, that you didn't matter because you weren't allowed to feel your emotions. And here's the Three of Cups here. Three of Cups is, another card of emotions. That's what Cups is all about. In this particular card, this is a celebration. It's the celebration of the feminine quality. It's got nothing to do with gender, but the feminine quality of being creative and being able to be you. And this is also buried under all of this. So you were not in any way, shape, or form allowed to be you, allowed to show you, allowed to feel your emotions. And I can see here that that whole thing about who you are was all shut down. And so that's why you feel unworthy. You were shown that when you were younger. This last card that comes out is the Temperance, as a clarifier for those two cards, is the Temperance card. And look at how those, and this is in your shadow again, so it's when you're young. And look at how the angels just dipping their toe, just pouring a little bit of this cup, these emotions, right? This water. Water's all about emotions, just a little bit at a time, right? And I think you learned at a very young age that you're on really shaky ground. Temperance card talks about middle ground and knowing, when you're younger, we quickly learn what we're allowed to do and not allowed to do. We pick it up. And I think when you learned at a very young age that it wasn't safe for you, not even to dip your toe. You tried. You dipped your toe when you were younger. And you were taught, no, you put those away. And so here it is, put away right here. You gave up trying. You were told, no. And so what does the tarot suggest for you? To start to reconnect with yourself, to start to get back into your body, and to feel this shitty shame. Shame's a really shitty feeling. It starts with SH for a reason. It's just we don't talk about it, but everybody has it. Everybody carries it. Here's the Nine of Swords right here. And this is in reverse. And Nine of Swords, and we talked about the sword as being your authentic self, your truth. But when you have all these swords together, these are your mental thoughts. Swords is your mental body. It's the suit of your mental thoughts, your opinions, your belief systems. And this is in reverse, and this individual's holding their head. And see all the clouds up there? It's almost like they're dreaming or they're thinking. Things are really cloudy. It's in reverse here because the universe wants you to get to, I often say that this is like a memory coming up, or some memory of who you were or what happened to you. So the universe really wants you to get in touch with, what happened to you when you were younger? Where did this unworthiness start to really dig and get at some of this the memory of who you were and what happened to you. You have the Tower moment in that comes in sideways here. And so what does this tell me? And then it has the Ace of Pentacles right beside it now, and it's a powerful ending for you. I'm just going to say the Ace of Pentacles there. But let's look at this Tower moment, what it means for you. I think I'm going to say to you, Cancer, that you have been living this life up in your head and not wanting to go in your body because you learned very young that it wasn't a safe place to be. It's full of emotions there, and it's not, you were taught when you were younger not to go there. And so I think there's been a lot of red flags for you along the way. Where the baseball bat has, things have happened to you, and we all have things that happen to us. But I think you've been hit over the head with baseball bats along the way. And painful ones maybe. But this was like your universe trying to get you to wake up to who you are. Because, you know, we can often and live our life in that clouded kind of state where we don't want to remember things. We don't want to look back at our childhood. We don't want to deal with that stuff because it's painful stuff. But this Tower card's coming in to say, well, Cancer, you know, how many more warnings do you want? How many more baseball bats from the universe do you want that says it's time for you to get out of your head and back into your body and start to feel some of this shame so that you can realize that this is not who you are. These people, when you were younger, that handed the shame to you, it's not yours. And sometimes one of the ways we get rid of our shame is to tell people, this is what happened to me. They told me this is what I was like, and it's not freaking true. And so the universe is saying, you know, this is like, almost like I think of that teeter-totter game, you know, if you've ever, I'm dating myself, where you take those yellow discs on this thing that balances on his nose, and you put, you know, it's like, this is you balancing right now again, you know, and are you going to do this? Are you going to look at your childhood? Are you going to start to feel some of this shame and this unworthiness and sit with it? And because this is like, you know, do you want another Tower moment? And then it ends with a beautiful card here. It's like one or the other. Tower moment, or do you want to take this gift of the Ace of Pentacles? Pentacle is your body. It's the earth element. It's the grounding element. It's how do I get in touch with me, and how do I get into my body? And that's where you start to feel, right? How do you get grounded? How do you get back into your body? So I can start to feel some of these emotions. I think what I'm going to do is I want to leave you 2 playlists, not just one. But I'm going to leave you something from my other channel called Carole Cares. I have 2 playlists that I think you really need. Number 1, I want you to learn how to ground. And maybe you do it, and maybe you think you're grounded. Our ego self can really try to convince you and play tricks on your mind that you're grounded when you're not. And so I want you to have a look at, you know, one of those videos I take you outside and I teach you how to ground. Try it, you know, because that'll help you get in your body. And by the way, grounding doesn't make you feel all zen. Grounding is actually uncomfortable. People don't want to sit in that chair and feel stuff. And so I teach you how to ground. And then I have another video on, another playlist on shame. I think it's important that you know, how to write from your shame, how to journal from that, and start to delve into that as well. Because it's hard. It's time for you to get in touch with that. And so I want you to have compassion for yourself for what you're working through, Cancer. This is a very difficult journey, but it's the most important journey of your life. So take care, and I'll talk soon. Bye.